Welcome to this guided series for new players for Workers and Resources Soviet Republic. In this part, what I want to do is build on the work that we actually did in the previous part by designing the track. And what I want to talk about now is choosing between to use diesel trains and electric trains. Also the possibilities, the fact that you could use the two together. And also as a bonus of that, I'm going to talk a little bit more about rail distribution offices. You can see I've already auto-built this as an example. First thing when you are deciding between electric and diesel is the cost of the track. Now if I do 100 meters of concrete track, you'll see that it will come out roughly about 2,338 rubles per 100 meters. Now if I put in the electric track and do the same 100 meters, what you will see is that 100 meters costs 4,036 rubles per 100 meters. So you could say that laying an electric track is nearly twice as much as the concrete track. That's particularly very important setting out with limited money and resources, because one of the main reasons you actually build railways is to be able to move bulk goods to various other places. The other thing I'm just going to do is just click that. I forgot I was going to auto build that. So the main decision is the cost of the infrastructure. Now I will come back to that. Now I'm just going to talk a little bit about the way that the actual fueling of the two trains, because I know on the surface it sounds quite simple. Diesel trains need fuel, electric trains need electrical power transformers. And something I did omit from when I was laying this track out, so I forgot to put these power transformers in. Now, one interesting thing that you need to understand about electric trains is that if you build one transformer, you can use that transformer to send a train right across the map. Now, that may sound really great, but that will only be one train. The moment you put a second train or a third train on that track, what will happen is that the power will be consumed from this transformer. And the further the train gets away from the transformer, the slower it will run. And one of the characteristics of electric trains is that if they get to the point where there's not enough power, they simply stop. And this is quite important. So when you're working on electric track, it's important to space these power transformers at regular intervals, especially along busy sections of track. I know that this bit of track's going to get very busy, so that's the reason why I've put a second transformer up here. Again, it comes down to the cost of the infrastructure and also laying in the power supplies, that electric track is that more expensive. Now, when it comes to diesel trains, the normal in-game method is that you put in these refueling stations. You've got a double track one and a single track one here. The normal way would be to put a double track one in here. One thing I will say is don't ever put a fueling station onto the actual main line like that. And the reason for that is if I explain how diesel trains work, is that a diesel train obviously gets a certain amount of fuel on board, and it will keep running until it virtually starts to run out. And then what will happen then is it will look for the nearest fueling station. And what you get is effectively a free ride, even if the train's out of fuel, to the nearest fueling station. But if it can't find a fueling station, it will just stop, the same as an electric train. And then you've got a bit of a real problem then and to be able to get it started, because effectively it needs to be able to find a fueling station. On the positive side, the game is quite generous when it comes to searching for the fueling stations. I think it works in the same way as a lot of things in this game is if it finds one within 3 kilometers, it will go there. So that is the way that the fueling system works. Now, there is a way that you can kind of improve that search algorithm, which I'll talk about in a little while. So in order to get the diesel trains operational, you need to build these. And probably the ideal, now there is a single one here. So what you could do is something, we flip that way, because this is bi-directional. But what you could do, if you've only got a little short section of track here, is put one in like that, and then of course, oops, I've got auto purchase on. Okay, thank you game. You could do something like that, and just select it, and then you can just build it. And of course you can connect it in with a road. Just put a mud road in because I'm not really going to do it this way. And what you can do is just put in a fueling station like that. And then what you can do then is the trains will run in. But what I will say is that this is very artificial. It's very short, and it will cause problems as you go forward. The reason is that you really do need kind of entrances coming into this, which is the equivalent of the length of a train, which is at least 155 meters, which is for a reason which I'll explain when we talk about distribution offices. So if you're going to run something like this, you do need a very long straight length of track. Now, and the other way you can do it is exactly in a similar way that you can do for depots, is you just put a branch line out like this, and then, I mean, you could, if you really wanted to, was put one like this, because the trains will turn round inside of a fueling station. So you could, if you wanted to, is put a branch out here and run it so the trains would come into here. But the key factor when you're planning those diesel stations is that you need to keep them away from the track. I'm just going to try to get rid of that, because that may actually mess up my what I'm talking about, thinking about doing. Now, the other option that you can do with diesel trains is actually put the fuel in the distribution offices. So what you can do is come in here. I'll set up an auto purchase for this. Of course, if you're not playing with auto purchase enabled, I want to keep it fairly minimal, 3 tons yet. And as I say, if you're not playing with auto purchase on, then you'd have to set up a distribution system to deliver the diesel to the actual trains. So that is the major difference between the two, and they both got swings and roundabouts with respect to what is the most advantageous way of doing it. Now, what we're going to do now is have a little bit of fun. And what we're going to do now is I'm just going to build this track. Now, if you watched the previous video, you'll be aware that when I built this track, it was actually laid out as concrete, because as I mentioned in that video, that when you are building track, what you actually do is, oh, what's that doing there? Must have put a little bit of electric track in it. When you are manually building track, don't want to actually build the road bridges, is you always lay the concrete first, and then actually electrify them afterwards, because it's a more efficient way to actually build your track. Don't have to worry about that little bit up there. Come into, actually, I think what I am going to do is just build all that in there. It's going to be easier, plus it will save a little bit of time later on when we got there. What's up with that? Okay, we need to build that. Then we're just going to keep stroking the track down here. Now I want to be a little bit careful here, because what I'm going to do for this exercise is just come into here. I'm not that interested in building out this way to that transformer, because I want to show you how it works with just a single transformer. And what we're going to, okay, we'll build that road as well. And of course we need to come out here. One addition, if you watched the previous video, is I've actually built a track out here to the to our coal warehouse for our heating plant. I think I will no, I'm trying to, because we are spending a lot of money on this track, and we're going to spend even more in a little while. I think I will just build that there as well. Obviously I must have planned this to be electric track. Oh, neither that, or no, it's probably because the bridge is electrified and it's saying that there's no power out to here, because there's no connection to here. And because of course this track, no, maybe that, yeah, it's the power supply off the bridge here that's causing that problem. Concrete track for which we can now run a diesel train on, and we've got fuel into here. What you do need to do is just check for these symbols to make sure there's none of them here. The electric symbol just means that there's a little bit of electric track there that needs to be done. As a little bit of a bonus, what I'm going to do is show you what you need to do if you are playing in realistic mode, or you just want there to improve your immersion. You can buy a train here. We're going to buy a diesel locomotive. I'm going to turn off all the mods because it's going to be too much. Now, when you buy a train, what you're looking for is maximum speed and power, because the speed obviously is the top speed of the train. Power will define the amount of the speed which the train will accelerate and decelerate. So that's 2,000. That's 1,407. But you can also see the vast difference in price. And in fact, I think what we'll do is we'll buy the cheap one. Now what we got here is we've actually got the train in here, and the way you actually do it is you actually tell the game to deliver the train to there, and what you will see is the train will come out. And we're now going to indulge in one of my favorite pastimes when I'm waiting for things to happen in the game, which is just following trains around the map. Delivery times of vehicles is a very big factor when you play realistic mode, especially once you're playing in the center of the map. And it's something you do need to take into consideration when you are actually planning your overall route. And the train will come into here. We've now got a train into here. And what you'll see is the train will, as soon as it arrives here, it will disappear. But if we click on here, it will show here. Now what we need is wagons. Because we're on auto purchase, I can actually just buy in the wagons automatically here. Now, if you're playing on realistic mode, what you will need is a train in the depot to actually deliver the wagons to the distribution office. And what I'm going to do by is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And this is particularly for new players, that when you do your first rail track, and if you're using the distribution office, what you want to do is get a fairly long train to actually test out your track. So we've got 6 box cars here. It says here, so we need to assign tasks. You do not have any rail signals. Oh, cool. Interesting. So what we're going to do now is just set up the route. And of course, what we're going to do is import crops from the border and deliver it to the thing. And of course, the fact that this symbol's here for a diesel train, it's not a problem. Now, what we're going to do is come into here and actually connect up the thing here. So we keep the game on pause while we're doing it. Now, I don't want. Now, this is silo's got a capacity of 8,000 tons. Now, I don't want to fill this up with 8,000 tons because that's going to cost us a lot of money. So I'm going to reduce this down to 10%. Now, a very quick top tip here is that we've got the ability to have 6 boxcars here. Now, I've got no idea what that actually is. In fact, if I let the game run, because we've got no signals. Okay. I must admit, I never knew that. I think what's actually happening is we get signals here. I don't know what the minimum number of signals it actually needs. What we're going to do is we'll put a mixed thing in there. Will you run? Nope. And then, of course, I'm just doing this out of curiosity, guys. I wouldn't recommend this in a real game. I think what's actually causing this is the train is self-blocking. And what we do is what you always do when you put in chain signals is the chain signal is always on the line, the up line where the train is going into a junction. And what you do is you put the out signals, which are just go any distance you want. Now, the difference between a chain signal and a normal signal is the fact that a chain signal, a train won't, because the way the signaling actually works, actually, I'm getting ahead of myself, works on blocks. Now, the way that the chain signal is, the train will not enter that green block unless this block here is actually clear. With a single arrow, the train will just move. What's up with you now? He's just sorting himself out. So what we're going to do now is just follow the train. And this is something that I would recommend when you're starting out, especially if you've never done rail before, is you want your first train to go to the border, because there's a potential trap at the border that can cause you a major headache, and it's far more better to test it at the beginning. And that's the reason why I've actually got 6 wagons here. All right, I'm just gonna wait. Yeah, we could probably go to, and what I'm actually doing is actually testing the length of the train. Yeah, we'll probably have to go to 8 wagons. So what I'm going to do is buy another couple of wagons. We'll just let the train run because it's loading. Apologies that I'm getting a long way away from what I was talking about with distribution offices. What I'm going to do is I'm going to buy another 2 wagons. In fact, I'm going to buy 3. 1, 2, 3. Like that. Now, if we actually look at the train here, you see this train's got the capacity to carry 321 tons of crops. Now, when you're setting up a distribution route here, what this maximum, say for example, instead of bringing it from the border, we were bringing it from a farm and we wanted to keep this at 100%. What you do is you never set this to 100%. What you do is you subtract 321 from the capacity of here, which is 8,000, and then you set the percentage to a point where the train, a fully loaded train, has the ability to drop off a full load. The reason you do this is the fact that when when the distribution office detects that this site needs to be refurbished, what you want it to do is have to go and pick up the equivalent of a full load on the train, because the consequences, especially if you're bringing things in from the border, if you don't do that, what you'll have is the train running backwards and forwards with carrying very small amounts of whatever it wants to ship. So what we're going to do is come into here and you'll see the train will unload. Now, the other thing I'm going to point out here, guys, is that the actual capacity on this train was 321 tons of crops. And you can see we've delivered that in 1 round trip. Now, bearing in mind that a covered hole can carry 10 tons, that is the equivalent of 32 trucks, which is the equivalent of 32 visits to the customs shed. Now, if we try to do the same effect with trucks, what you'd end up with is a great big long queue here. Railways are king when it comes to moving bulk commodities, especially crops, coal, iron ore, everything like that. And you can see here we've now got this in here, and I'm just going to follow the train again because 1, because I want to do it, and 2, I still want to test that. I want to see if he will actually go into the distribution office and pick up the extra wagons. Yes, he will. Oh, and of course, more importantly, you'll see that he's actually running out of fuel. And what this means is that if you really want to run diesel trains efficiently, put them into distribution offices. Because what that will mean is that you don't have to put these diesel fueling stations out on your tracks, because your trains assigned to a distribution office will always show a priority towards going back to their distribution office to refuel, assuming that there is actually fuel in the distribution office. So you're going to have to make sure that you've got plenty of fuel in the distribution office, especially when you're doing manual supplies. And that's probably a good segue into what I'd call hybrid running, because one of the advantages of having a diesel trains that are working from a distribution office. I'm just going to come in here because this is now we got no we're still in length, so we can run up to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Now, one thing you do need to be aware of is the length of the engine, because if you buy a new engine that's got bigger, what will happen is that the train will do. In fact, here there is a signal. We would normally have to put a signal in. Let me just put the signal in. What I'm trying to do, and what we do is put a mix signal in here. Yeah, we can't actually put the mix. Yep. That's what I'm trying to do. Because what you need to do is make sure that you're going to be able for the train to turn around. So this train length is probably about the longest it's getting. The fact it can build, in fact, what I'm going to do is see if I can actually cause a catastrophic problem. Because I definitely want to illustrate this point. So if we buy another couple of wagons, now I want to stress completely, this is not normal gameplay. So what we're going to do is just let the train run and take out another load to the silo. And I want to see if he will pick up the extra bit of route. So I'll be back once so I'll be back after he's unloaded. Actually, welcome back. This is another area where the train length could be a problem. You can see I've been very, very generous here. See if this will go over 800 tons. If it goes over 800 tons, nope, we're just a little bit short. So what I'm going to do now is just follow the train now, because we're below the 10%. What you will see now is the train should go into here. What if he will pick up some more? So he's actually happy now, and what you can see now, he's actually refueling, because what happened was he ran out of fuel at the depot and he's come back and he's decided that, okay, that's not going to work. The reason for that is that if we actually follow the train now, so the train's coming in here. Now if you watch, even though we're very close to the total, this train isn't going to pick up the amount that is needed by the silo. What he will do is he'll pick up a full load. The time they will pick up a reduced amount is when the silo is actually full. And what will happen then is, instead of sending out a great big long train like this, what it will do is it will send out a single wagon. So if I come to here, each individual wagon, if we come in here, will consist of 53 tons of crops. So what could happen now is that once this is being consumed, the rail distribution office will then send out a train that will only deliver 53 tons of crops, because that's because that is the minimum size that it can actually carry. And what you see here now, it's going to push way past the 800 tons. So that is something that you do need to do. And of course, the advantage of doing that is it's going to be a lot longer before this train will actually go out again. So what's going to happen is this is going to have to drop to 800 tons before the next train is actually dispatched. Right, so that is diesel trains. And as you can see, we're running quite happily without using the fueling stations. What I want to do now is actually show you, well, what we're actually going to do first is I want to send this guy to the depot, because what we're going to do now is play with electric trains. So we'll send him there. And of course, what we've got to do now is electrify the track. Make sure auto purchase is on. Actually, I don't think I need to do that. I just need to do that. That's it. And then if the game's running, it will automatically upgrade the track. And you can see that you can tell the difference between the track because these have got overheads. Now, these power links are indicating that this line has got no access to power, but as soon as we get to this substation like that, what you'll see is it will disappear. What I'm going to do is whoops, we'll run that there. What I'm trying to do is kind of electrify the main line. I suppose technically that will run there. Of course, the bridges already have power on them. And then we'll just run through here, upgrade all the track through here. Just kind of concentrate, just build that a little bit there. Again, we'll just upgrade it through here. Be a little bit gentle. And we'll just upgrade that bit there. And we're on that power there. We got here. think I missed a bit there. So what you need to do is go around, just make sure that you've got all the power you've got. Looks like we've got a bit of a problem here with respect to, so we'll just shift click that. What I'm doing is just getting rid of all the power connections. So what we're going to do now is just going to buy an electric train. We're going to come in here and okay, we just got some research finished. Let me just buy the electric train. The electric trains tend to be faster than the diesel trains as well. So this is another plus with respect to using electric trains. They're also, as you see here, the trains themselves are a lot more expensive. Also, they're actually longer. If I show you the diesel locomotives are often 17 meters, 18 meters. I've got one here that's 34 meters, but if I show you the electric locomotives, and this is where you can have a bit of a problem. I don't really want to go there. Now, bear in mind that the maximum speed of your electric track is 150 kilometers an hour. So we've got a train here that can do 190 to, can do 110, 120, 75. We're not going to worry about that one. What we're looking for is, I think we're going to buy one of these. Now, I'm just going to do the research. Oh no, because what I'm trying to do at the moment is research the necessary tech so that we can reveal the resources on the map. So I just want to do that. And what we got here is this. It says geological mapping. It's going to take 1800 days to do. We're just going to click that and let it run. What I'm going to do now is we're going to push up the percentage here. We're going to put it to 20%. And now we're going to follow the train. You see we've got a really long train here, because this locomotive is actually longer, and that's what I want to check. And what you will see now is that the back of this train is now beyond the signal. Now if we actually let this train load up, now you can see here the train was able to turn round, but the problem is because that last wagon was in this actual box here, like to show, if I show you the signals, right, I've just let the train go because I want to explain what happened there. Now the train was able to turn round because it was shorter than this actual physical junction here. Now a train will have a problem turning around if it overlaps a physical junction, but more importantly it overlapped this signal. Now if I show you the signal here, this block is actually, in fact, if I put the proper signals in, just to kind of illustrate, so that would be there, and what we would need to do is put a put two change signals in here. Now what we've got is this block here. Oops, sorry about that. Now because the train itself overhangs this area here, oops, I'm just going to keep the game on pause for the moment. What it would do is block this section. So if there was another train waiting and come into here, it would not enter this area, because this block would be simply because this block itself would be obstructed. Now the way to fix that is if we come back to here and we get to where is the train actually, to make sure I know where the train is first. Where are you? Yeah, he's on his way back. Now what you can do when you've got a problem like that is come in here, and it's hidden behind this box here. You can see that you can actually define the minimum size of wagons. What that means is the number of wagons that you can actually have. So what I often like to do is change that to 2, depending on what you're actually carrying. And what I can do is we're actually going to reduce this down to 150 meters, and you can see the figures here. And what should happen now is the train should come into the depot, and it's actually finished. Thank you, game. Okay, well, I'm just going to push up the percentage again. we're probably going to have so many crops in here we won't know what we're actually doing. But doing this is pretty important, guys, because these are the type of problems that you will encounter, and I'm aware that these can be very frustrating for new players. There's nothing worse than blocking off your custom station. Also, if you've got a crucial junction which you've got wrong. So you can see now, if I pause the game here, because I've reduced the length, this now just fits inside of here. Now, to finish off, the next thing I want to do is actually signal up everything. Okay, welcome back. What I'm doing at the moment is I'm just setting up this junction here. This is the complex junction that I set up here, and you can see, because what I want to do is make sure that all these kind of joins are all part of the same kind of block to ensure that we don't get actual train blocking. So we're going to put you there. We're going to put this out just like that and put one there. If you watch the colors, you can see what the representation of the block is. So what I've done here is I've made this into a whole block. So effectively, because the train's coming here on the chain signals, they will come down into here. Now there is a potential for blocking here, which could be a problem, but I think I should be able to get away with it. And of course there's always the option to reduce the train lengths. And then we're going to come down to here. That is oh, well, that is actually running into there, so we'll put mixed signals there, and then we'll put you there. Put you there, put you there, put you there. Just drop that down there. Put you there. What you want to do is always try and get the signals as close to the junction point as possible. We got this selected. Do that one. Put the chain signal there, and of course, what we're going to need is a mixed signal there and there. What I'm going to do is increase this by another 10%. Road connection does not exist to this distribution office. Right, that means I've messed up a signal somewhere. So what we got to do now, this is one of the more frustrating elements of the game, in the fact that I've got it's not the one you're looking for is often probably need to put a signal just there. That comes here, that looks good. That looks good. That looks good. That looks good. That comes into there. That comes into there. I'm not exactly sure why that went. So what we're going to do is start the train and see if it will actually give me an indication where the problem is. So if we come into here, increase that percentage to 40%. This is where it can get a little bit frustrating, because it's definitely probably a signal in here. I just can't see it. Where it is there. It's this one was the wrong way round. And the other thing I'm going to do now is I'm going to send the diesel train back to the depot. Yeah, it can be very frustrating sometimes, and this is one reason whenever you put up large amounts of signals, you do need to test it. And what we'll do is we'll run this train down here. Now, I want to do is keep an eye on this guy, because what I wanted to show now is the fact that you can actually run multiple trains. So what this guy should do is come into here, and he's now picked up his load. So we've now got two trains delivering to this up here. And this is going to take me into the final section about what I've alluded to at the beginning, is running hybrid rail networks. Because a diesel train can always run an electrified line, And electrified lines are more efficient when it comes into this area here. Right. So we've now got a problem with the signal here. And you can see this guy is... Now this could be a signal problem, but it could also be the length of the train. So what we're going to do is just take a quick look and see... one way you can test it is to remove the signal. Now it could be actually a signal problem, so I just want to check before I start doing anything a bit drastic. I might have a reverse signal going up this way, because the game is not particularly that helpful when it comes to actually what I can do, forgotten, is if I come to here, right, it's kind of hinting in this area. There's a wrong signal in this area, but it's not precise. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to keep the game on pause, and there it is there. It's the wrong signal here. Now I'm going to keep the game on pause until I get back to the custom shed, because I won't be able to put that signal in. I shouldn't have deleted that signal. Let the game run. It's still... Okay, so it's still saying that I've got a problem up here. That's okay. This is okay. This is coming in here. That's the wrong way round. That should be a... That will come up to that way. Right, I'm just going to fly back to the custom shed again. We're just going to let the game run. Right, this train has now sorted itself out. So what I'm going to do is just put the mixed signal back in again. And of course, what I need to do is put the exit signal back in again. Just there, make sure it's the right way round. And what we've now got, trains running down. Now, if I follow this train, now this train will be slower than the other one, because what we're going to do is run the two trains back together. And you can see what's happening here is that this train doesn't have another job. Hold up. Why did he go through the... I'm a bit worried about that. Train shouldn't go through the depot if it's going this way. If I got the wrong signal here, that technically shouldn't happen. Although sometimes the train does decide on what it wants to do. This is the electric train. Sometimes trains will go through the location. Wow. I'm just going to follow this, guys, because I'm a bit kind of concerned about the fact that why they're actually going through here. I just want to make sure they got the signals right. Yeah, there's a that's down, that's up, that's going this way, that's going into there. See, that's just changed from red. What I could do is put an uplink in here and a downlink. That would split that. Here comes the train again. We're just going to follow him. We're certainly going to have a lot of crops to deal with. I'm not exactly sure why he took a little... Sometimes when you put a new signal in, the game does pause like that. What the train will do is run out to here, drop off another great big pile of crops. What we do really need to do is get some workforce into here now, and just another little bit of a test here. This train comes in because of course this one's the diesel train and he's running on fuel. See if this one's finally happy that it's, yeah, that's it. So the game's now decided that the silo is now full. And what we should do now is get this train back to here. And the final thing I want to show you to do with the distribution office is I mentioned this bit about the train length and the wagon size. If you are running small levels of goods, putting a minimum wagon size on can actually give you problems. Now, it's just to wind this video up. Obviously, I've covered a lot of subjects, but I just want to kind of emphasize that if you're building a busy main line, electric is certainly worth the long-term investment, simply because the trains run faster, they're a bit more efficient, plus there's going to be a lot cheaper with respect to the fact that you've got these transformers in. If you are running say for example a minor line going out to a remote town that just needs, say, clothes, fuel and electronics and the basics, there is a case to be made to run a diesel train out there, simply because the cost of the infrastructure is a lot cheaper. And if the train's only running every so often, you can effectively drive it from a distribution office. So now this is a personal statement. Me going forward, because I must admit I've actually learned something in this video about the fact that you can use these hybrid systems. And so when I'm going to be laying out and designing track and deciding what to lay, my kind of driving process will be, is it a busy track, build electric? If it's a minor track, or can I run all my diesel trains from a distribution office? Because you've got to remember is these trains are linked to a distribution office. So another train from another distribution office won't go into here to pick up fuel. But it means that you can run fairly efficient diesel trains without all the extra infrastructure. Anyway, guys, this is where I'm going to leave it. Hope I haven't completely fried your brain. One final tip for new players: feel free to experiment with what your track layouts. Keep your auto purchase option available so that you can basically knock down track and replace it according to what you actually need. And of course, one thing you also will need is a big pile of money to actually finance all these tracks. So until next time, whatever you do, enjoy your gaming.